I'm Brad Leavitt, president of AFT Construction. If you are a contractor, are into design or architecture, this is the channel for you. Hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell, that way those notifications come through every time we post a new video. So one of the questions from Mr. Davis was what kind of estimating and scheduling software we use. And if you check the link up here in the video, that'll take you to another video where we did a little bit more in-depth conversation about Bluebeam, which is one of the takeoffs softwares that we use. So from a scheduling side, there's a few different programs we're using. So we utilize Excel, we utilize Foundation for our accounting side because that gives us some really good job cost analysis. We're using Bluebeam for our takeoffs and our plans, and then we're also utilizing Buildertrend. So from a scheduling side, Buildertrend has been great for us. We're able to build the schedule in Buildertrend, and we have that for every project. We have templates in there depending on new custom, hillside custom, remodel, commercial. So those templates are in there that we can now edit to mirror the exact project that we're working on. So that's how we manage our schedule. We also use Buildertrend for our to-do list. So our tasks, to-do lists, our online portfolio, all the photo documentation of every project before and afters. And then as well as we store all of our online files, design books, appliance specs, cabinet drawings, everything's there at one location that we can now open in the field with our iPad. So it's really important. And one of the most important things that we do on Buildertrend is our daily log. And that's from the commercial mindset that with your daily logs, you're coming in every day, talking about the weather, how many crews are on site, what companies, the manpower, what tasks were done. That way you can track it at each project and make sure you're on pace. So that's the Buildertrend side. Bluebeam's really good too because now Bluebeam is how we train our team. So we can, with layers on Bluebeam, we can go through and we can pull in the building plans and check for any consistencies. We can check for mechanical to make sure it's fit through our ductwork. We can check shear plan and shear wall drawings and make sure that things labeled and color coded. We can go on Bluebeam and do our takeoffs, count the can lights, count the outlets, do our concrete takeoffs. So all this stuff is really valuable on Bluebeam. And then of course, job costing. To be successful as a contractor, sub or GC, you need to make sure your job costing. Understand the cost that goes into each project and track that in your database. And Foundation is a great software to do so. Jordan Heinen had a great question for us. He talked about our insurance requirements for our subcontractors. And I actually pulled that up here so I can read them. I don't want to try to memorize those and misquote. So insurance requirements are really important to every project to give a surety to our clients that we're hiring licensed subcontractors, that they're insured and bonded, and also that we're protecting their investment, right? In case something happens. It also protects us. We've worked hard to create the brand at AFT. We want to make sure the partners we're bringing in are part of that brand and that have minimums there that are allowing them to be successful and then protect us all in case there's an accident, right? Which is super important. So as we talk about our general liability, so each occurrence is $1 million. Damage to rented premises, $100,000. Personal injury is $1 million. General aggregate is $2 million. And then for products, $2 million as well. Then as we go down and we go into our automobile, which is really important. So any company trucks or suppliers that are bringing product to the job site, they are $1 million, single limit each accident. And keep in mind, these are minimum. Depending on the type of subcontractor that's working for us, we may increase that depending on their exposure or risk. Then for uninsured motorists combined is also $1 million policy, right? Then as we move down, so our umbrella policy. Each occurrence is $1 million and aggregate $1 million as well. And then our workers' comp, which is really important. So each accident for workers' comp is minimum $1 million. And then each employee is $1 million and each company is $1 million. So those all three in there. So again, for the most part, our minimum is $1 million per occurrence. We do have some GCs that have $5 million on there, or not GCs, but subcontractors. So again, that's the minimum that we'll allow, and we'll make sure that they're all licensed, bonded, and insured. Anna E had a great question for us. She said, what happens to all the wildlife and especially the swallows in these desert projects? And that's a great question. So we're really in line with how we protect the environment. And a lot of that's dictated as well by the city and our government officials in Scottsdale and other parts of Arizona. So one thing we do in regard to the saguaro, so before we start a project, before we get equipment on there, we actually go out and we get a survey done on all the trees, all the protected trees. So saguaros, ironwoods, mesquites, palo verdes, all these different trees and plants that need to be protected. We go tag them, we mark them, we have them identified. So anywhere where we're disturbing the envelope of the house, we identify all those and then we relocate them. So we put them in other areas of the property. We pull them out, we replant them, keep them alive. Sometimes we'll have to actually pull them off site. We'll put them in a box, you know, like you'd find at a nursery. We take them off site and we pay someone to water them for a year, you know, maintain them, and then they bring them out at landscape stage if they're to be replanted there on the landscape, around the pool or maybe parts of the house once we're done. So we're very conscious of how we're protecting the plants. Wildlife's the same, you know, there's going to be wildlife. We have rattlesnakes, we have Gila monsters, tarantulas, scorpions, deer, bobcats, rabbits. You know, these are all things that we're encountering with throughout the process. And so what's really important is relocating them. So anytime we find a Gila monster, rattlesnake, we have a couple companies here in town that we work with that know how to work with these reptiles and these animals, and they come, they get them, and they take them out and put them back in the desert. So I don't want to say replant, they just reposition them elsewhere. So we don't kill them, we keep them alive. That's really important. And of course, we have time-lapse videos, so you'll see the deer coming through, meandering, and the bobcats sneaking through. You know, most of those, we're never at an opportunity to catch them. They're too elusive anyways. So great question, Anna. So one of the questions from Sean Schaefer, he said, do you know of any loans out there that will actually factor in the remodel into the loan? And yes, there are. So I'm not a financial loan officer. You know, we're a general contractor, but we do have clients that work with their bank as they're acquiring a property such as this. In Paradise Valley, where you have the home, there's a purchase price for the home, and then the bank will appraise the home based on specifications, you know, upgrades that you're going to do, whether you're putting in the pool, rebuilding the kitchen, you know, adding on to the house, square foot. So the bank will appraise based on that value, and that's coordination with the general contractor, designer, architect. Very common of what we do on a new home. You know, new home construction, we'll work with the appraiser on the very front. They have to appraise the home before we've broken ground, and they'll go through all the upgrades and options to really understand the value of that house before we start. Very similar on a remodel. So depending on the financial institution that you're working with, you can get with them all the information, and the more documentation and specs that you have will help on that appraisal to maximize that dollar and have a better allowance for your remodel budget when you acquire the property.